Little politics vlog. Twitter has been hellacious for the past 2 nights. A 10 a penny leftist US government ICE agent, essentially a cop, killed a woman in her car in the snow in America, Minnesota. Admittedly a leftist lesbian, but that doesn't fucking matter because she didn't do anything. And they're trying to make it out that this woman ran over the officer, when actually the officer wasn't just walking around minding his own business and then suddenly ran over by a random leftist. The officer ran in front of the car to try and stop the leftist. The leftist tried to drive away from the officer who was attacking her, and the officer was trying to stop her from freedom of movement and leaving and trying to tell her what to do, and then he just kills her with his gun. And you've got all the insane MAGA Republican conservatives and even a lot of people who should fucking know better on the right trying to make excuses for this murder, because that's what it was, a murder, unprovoked murder. And it doesn't matter what her ideology was. Yeah, if she was still alive and she was posting some shit on TikTok, I'd mock the hell out of her. She's called Renee, I think. It doesn't fucking matter. This officer has no legitimacy, no authority to just randomly kill someone for not disagreeing with her, but non-complying with her, not obeying the government. Like, government tells you to do something. No, I'm not going to do anything. Blam, 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 you're dead now. Like, who's the property violator here? Government is. The thing is, government was already the leftist property violator when it created the tax system and made police go out and enforce the tax system. Oh, you don't like being stolen from? Well, we're going to send our officers over to you and they're armed with the guns that we don't want you to have, so we're, you know, doing gun control and all this shit. Anyway, Twitter has been, I'll say chaotic, but fun for the past 2 days. There has been a tremendous outpouring of, like, the third front, my front. The libertarians, the anarchists, the voluntarists, the agorists, the objectivists have all turned up. And at first, like, the conservative Republicans thought they were, well, they thought they were doing the right thing by backing the blue, like a bunch of socialist bootlickers. They honestly act like the left and they have no idea how they're acting like the left. And then they think they're, like, facing off against the left and the left is their only adversary, and they don't look around them with their peripheral vision to notice that there's another bunch of people, in fact several other bunches of people, who are completely against the left and completely against them. So they're blindsided. I like to use the World War I analogies. Like, you're in the trenches, you're fighting the enemy in the other trench and you think it's just you and them, and then you look over to the side and you're like, hold on, what the fuck? Those guys who are seemingly to the right of us, fighting against our enemy, have now just started turning around and fighting against us. And they're still fighting our enemy as well. What's going on? Like, the conservatives just, the right can't understand that it's not a binary fight between two factions. That if they started some sort of civil war, they wouldn't be like them versus the left. That's not what it'd be. Yeah, I have tremendous joy, I guess, happiness, and kind of excitedness just to see the amount of people on my side, as it were, if you can even call it a side. The libertarians, the real libertarians, I mean, the ones that don't want a government and don't want a police force, like the anarchists that aren't fucking Antifa, because Antifa aren't anarchists, because they desire a state and they do everything funded by the state. An anarchist is a capitalist. It's not someone who dresses up in black and wears a mask and goes around burning things in the street and going, whose streets? Our streets. That's a fucking socialist, a commie. Antifa are commies. They are not anarchists, even though they may claim to be. And there are many people out there who you can see from this argument going on, raging on Twitter right now. It's still going as we speak. It's quite fun to dip into. There are a lot of people who claim to be libertarians, like Dave Smith and others, and any libertarian party who aren't actually libertarians, they're just linos. They're leftists who are calling themselves libertarians, and they're rightists also who are calling themselves libertarians. Neither of them are. The rightists will lick the boot of the state and want police to do things for them and lock them down and procure taxes for services that they think they're getting and stop immigration. And the leftist linos aren't libertarians either, because they're like things like pro-BLM, and they go around ranting about racism and calling everything that moves Nazi or a racist or a misogynist or a transphobe or Islamophobe. The regular things you can go into with leftists that we all know by now. But that's the thing. There are lots of people within the politics, and it is mainly like a socialist tactic. You can look at Orwell's 1984, and he goes into the language control where people will say they're something that they're not, and that's like the fuzzy shield words, you know. Socialists will often do this, where they'll use a label that is not what their actions are, and they'll call themselves it. You know, for instance, obviously Black Lives Matter went around burning down black businesses. Feminists are not pro-women. Democrats, notoriously not democratic. You go into loads of different things. People who support the COVID vaccine and stuff are not pro-health. People during that era who said they were scientists are not actually scientists. So it's very common for the so-called right and the left to take on these fuzzy shield words to say they're something they're not, usually to get some political angle on something. Sometimes it's malice, like that. Other times it's incompetence, like they think they want to get into libertarianism, but they don't know what it is, and so they try and start getting into libertarianism, and then they just like mouthing off stuff, and the real libertarians are just looking around and like, dude, this guy says he's a libertarian, but he's like pro-taxation, pro-cops, hates private property, wants it redistributed, likes border control and gun control rules, like regulation of the markets. I don't think this dude's a libertarian. It's just like really easy to spot when you're an actual anarchist or libertarian. Like, what is a freedom principle? You know. So there's a lot of that going around, but it's quite heartening that it's very detectable. A lot of people are just, you can tell who's a lino and who's not. And other people around me who I can tell pretty much are the real deal libertarians and anarchists from what they say on their feed and what their principles are. Every day they're like coming out with correct principles for freedom advocacy and anti-state stuff. They are also looking at the linos and going, that's a lino. That's not a libertarian there. How can he be a libertarian when he's saying this? And that's really kind of a joyous thing. That's really heartening to see. Also just the sheer amount. There's been a lot of, like, there's the accounts I know who are these hardcore libertarians and anarchists, and then there's loads of people, accounts I hadn't even met before, just like last night, appearing, and they've got the exact right takes, the takes that you expect to hear from an actual freedom advocate on the kind of ICE shooting issue, and also on the Maduro, like when Trump did that dumbass evil move of going over into another country and not realizing what that effect would have on the world if he went in and just captured. I know he's a commie president, but if you are doing the same thing as the commie president, it doesn't matter. I mean, you shouldn't even have tax dollars to mess around with for things like this because it's theft. But you know, if you had your own funds, if you were a government that actually generated your own wealth, which Trump could be in a position to do because he used to be a businessman and he's got like Trump Tower and all these business properties, he could have just like not taxed anyone the income tax or any of the other taxes and just like raised his own money to do government things with. That would have been a possibility for him, but no. He had to have tax. I think at one point he was floating like, I'm gonna get rid of the income tax, and then he just didn't, and he added tariffs, which are also a tax. Dude's a socialist. He banned bump stocks. Like, it was for, I don't know if that actually came to fruition or not. He wanted the bump stock ban, but what he did do was Operation Warp Speed, where he pushed the vaccine mandate against the public. This mRNA weapon from the World Economic Forum and the UN. The guy's a fucking socialist. He's a globalist. And now he also wants to buy Greenland, the country. He was also thinking of, like, wanting to capture Canada as one of the states of America as well. And the most recent thing I've heard is that he was saying he wanted to bomb Mexico. And again, it's like over the drug war stuff. So it's like the end user of the drug, it's their choice whether to take the drug or not. You shouldn't, like, ban drugs from coming into your country. And yet that's another thing the Conservatives are pushing, like, oh my god, Trump's in the right because he's banning drugs and trying to stop them. Like, can you hear yourself right now? This is some weird moral principle you have where you think intervention into the choices of the individual is fine. You won't just let people wreck their lives with drugs if they want to because it's their own personal choice what to do with their own body. Bodily autonomy, remember that? Oh no. Apparently you were pro-Trump when he was pro-vaccine and pro-lockdown, so I guess you're not really pro-bodily autonomy. Don't get me wrong, neither are the left. The ones who formally call themselves the left. It is mental how January has started in politics, and kind of exciting in a way to see that the MAGA Republicans are doing evil things, vouching for evil things, being called out for their evil, and the left are still doing their evil things as well. It's just there's two of these factions who are fighting each other, who are exactly the same but think they're different, and the sane ones are actually outside of that binary paradigm of left versus right, and we're just kind of looking in going, no, that's both of you. Both of you are the assholes in this situation. I'm not going to say it's good times, because, I mean, I guess I'm excited by the pushback, and that gives me a bit of a sense of humour about it. I think if there was not enough pushback from libertarians and anarchists on this matter, and centrists, then it would be more sad, because it'd just be like, yeah, the left are doing all these horrific things, we knew that already, and they're mostly in control right now. The right have started doing all these horrific things when they think they're pushing back against the left, but they're actually copying them, and that's all there is. And I am just this one voice saying no, and there's no one with me also saying no. I would just be like they say you should have a sense of humor about things, but I would just be like sad and depressed about it. Whereas actually, I find myself right now quite upbeat and quite humorous about it. And it's because of the hope that comes with, not necessarily that I would be part of some group that is disagreeing, but that there are other individuals who disagree with what's going on, and they can see that it's fucking insane. Political vlog. Thank you for all watching. But that's not how you say it. What the fuck? I'm Yoda today. How did I used to say it? Thank you for all, thank you all for watching. Thanks. Thank you for watching.